Road Promotions. How are you guys doing today? Today I have Mark Gable with me. I'm so excited. We're going to do some interviewing, answer some questions, and we're going to talk about his new album release. His new album came out February 24th, and it's Buttered Toast. Can you believe that? I love that. I love that title.
Thank you for having me. This is an absolute pleasure and honor. Been looking forward to doing this for a while, and now that Buttered Toast is out, it seems so appropriate. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this interview. Let's get on with it.
Let's get it started. All right. So, Mark, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, just a local rocker trying to make his way through right now. You know, COVID hit us all hard, so everybody had to take a break, and now we're back trying to, you know, reinvent music, I guess. It's hard in this day and age, but at least COVID gave me a chance to record a lot of material to put out for the next couple of years.
So, Mark, you have a new album out. It's called Buttered Toast. That's an amazing title to an album. Makes me hungry when I see that, because I do like buttered toast. Can you tell me about the title of the album and something about the album?
Yeah, Buttered Toast. It's funny about that title. I had finished the album and was really working on album art and what to title it, and it took me months and months. I really wanted to call it Up in Lights, and I had this cool idea for an album art, and quite frankly, I couldn't afford the art that I wanted to do. Everything's on a shoestring budget or less. So my wife and I have always had a joke about, what do you like better? Do you like this? Is it as good as buttered toast? And I don't know where it started from, but we've been doing it for years.
I love it.
And just one day we worked together, and we were at work, and I was agonizing over the title of the album, and she said, why don't you call it Buttered Toast and the Mad Ramblings of the Mind of Mark Gable? And I was like, okay, that's it. It's done. That's done. And I never thought about it a second later. Went home, made that album art, and it was done that quick.
I love it. I think it has a good, catchy sound. It has, you know, it gets people's attention. It's a grabber. Buttered Toast. I'm like, damn, what is this? This is good stuff. And then I started listening to the music, and it is amazing. We want to talk about some of the songs that you made. I wanted just to tell you right away, my favorite one is called Don't Give It Away.
Don't Give It Away. For a half a minute, it was going to be titled that as well. After I gave up with Up in Lights, I thought about Don't Give It Away, and I had this idea of people sitting at a poker table, and, you know, I got all four aces, and I thought it was a cool idea. And my wife was like, it's cliche, it's been done. And I was like, you're not wrong. But yeah, that song, well, that one goes back. Most of the songs on this album were written between 2000 and 2005, actually. They were demos. I never went much further with them. All of these versions are re-recorded versions, but that song is probably good 2000 to 2003-ish. And I was just really trying to capture a 38 Special meets Leonard Skinner meets Doobie Brothers, just a kind of music that really doesn't exist much anymore.
That's amazing, because when I first heard this, I had the headphones on, and I'm like, and it was like bouncy and loud, and it sounded like four different bands. And I'm like, wait a minute, it sounded like Kiss, it sounded like Triumph at the very tail end, and 38 Special, you're right. So I did hear all the combinations of the different bands in there, and I'm like, wow, this was amazing.
Yeah, I am such a lover of music. I grew up with everything. You know, the 70s was my favorite era. Obviously, growing up with Skinner, Zeppelin, all of that, and then Bad Company was a big influence on me. Triumph, like you said, Kiss, obviously, in our age bracket, who didn't grow up listening to Kiss? So yeah, and I'm just a melting pot. I take all of those things that I loved when I was younger, and I just spit them back out in a different form or fashion. I think everything in music's been done for the most part. So if you're going to be writing music, you're still ripping off from somebody, so you might as well rip off from the good ones.
Okay, so there's another song that's like one of my favorites. It's While I'm Able. And I know when we hear that, we think Gable. While I'm able, Gable. It has a Bon Jovi touch to it, I feel.
Wow, that's great. I'm glad you get that. It's so funny because I get so many people saying it sounds like this, it sounds like that. Bill Yost, the bass player for Thrill Ride, which I know you're familiar with, he heard that song and he heard Mr. Big or the Winery Dogs, Richie Kotzen. And I actually messaged him back that I was way too high of a compliment. I'm no Richie Kotzen for sure. But honestly, the inspiration for that song, and it stems back from the 90s when hair metal went away and grunge came in. I was ready for the change, and I know a lot of us in that day weren't, but I was ready for the change. I was done with hair metal. I was done with spandex and Aquanet and all that. And I was really into a couple bands in the early to mid 90s. Live was one of them, the band Live. And they had a song called Lightning Crashes. And to me, this was the inspiration to the song. I was kind of going after something that was Lightning Crashes, and then it morphed into something else. And oddly enough, I just keep getting messages and comments on Facebook and Twitter and all that it's one of the favorite songs off the album. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was, nobody thinks you got a filler song on the album, but you know the days of hysteria where every song's going to be a hit doesn't exist anymore. So to me, I didn't think that was going to be one of the ones, but I'm really pleased that people are enjoying it.
Yes, I enjoyed a lot. I will be doing something in my house, doing dishes, and I won't have the song on, but I'll be like, yeah, and I'll be singing along to it, and I'm like, like you said, it's a catchy tune, and it's amazing. I just love your music, Mark. You're 100% talented musician. I am so glad to be here talking with you right now.
Love it. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. And I wanted to ask you about another song, Jabberwocky, and you said it was something related to your dad.
Yeah, Jabberwocky was a special one for me, and it was a last-minute addition on the album. The album almost came out without it. I was never going to release a song without the permission of the gentleman that wrote it. His name's Chuck Beatty. He was the guitar player for a band called Coyote in the very early 70s. My dad was the singer for the band, and my dad's been passed for 15 years plus, but Chuck's not on social media, so I couldn't find him to get his permission to do it. I did, however, find the drummer on social media, and he contacted Chuck, and it was a long, process, but I went ahead and recorded the song. And it was such an honor for me because I played, all the instruments. I did the drums and the keyboards, the bass, the guitars, and I remember every single member of that band. They were iconic to me growing up. Like, I thought they were Led Zeppelin, and to be able to actually do that song somewhat justice, I hope. And then finally get Chuck's permission to put it out on the album. And it literally came 2 weeks before the release of the album. So it was put on there last second. And I just, thank you, Chuck Beatty, obviously. And such a great song. And, I hope somewhere my dad's listening to it and he approves.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he will be. Yes, so the Jabberwocky song was very, very heartfelt, very touching. That it dealt with your dad and the history of all of that, and I think that's amazing that happened like that.
Yeah, that song will always be very, very special to me. It just and the lyrics are the actual poem from Alice in Wonderland. Even when Chuck, because this song was released in 1972 on the Coyotes' first album. Now, on that particular album, my father was not the singer. He didn't join until the following year.
Okay.
But I do have a copy of him singing it. They were going to re-record it for their second album. It was just going to be a better production and all. So I have a version with my dad singing, but the version that I currently listen to is Chuck singing it, and just the lyrics being the exact poem from Alice in Wonderland, I always thought was really cool.
Amazing,
and,
yes.
It's just, it's a fun song. I was so happy to be able to do it. And I'm not nearly the guitar player that Chuck was. I had to dumb some stuff down, but I think I kept it close enough.
No, I think you did an amazing job. You're awesome. Like, I think it's perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, there's another song. It just makes me want to get up and dance and have a great time, and it's Texan Girls. It has a southern sound, happy dancing, country, just getting out there, having a good time, drinking a beer, you know.
Yeah, Texan Girls was a fun song, and that one came about by, I love documentaries. I watch documentaries on everything from old movies to old bands to, you know, how toys were made. I just love documentaries. I fell down a rabbit hole one Saturday when I was off and sipping some wine, and I stumbled upon a Leonard Skinner documentary, and I didn't get halfway through the documentary, and I just hit pause, and I came out here, and that song was recorded in less than 6 hours, start to finish. I wanted to do a Leonard Skinner song, and I think I pulled it off without ripping them off.
Right.
But I did rip them off. Make no mistake, and I don't apologize for it. They're one of the bands that I grew up loving the most. And I don't do a lot of that kind of material, so when I found something that it just clicked for me, song was done. And it's a fun song, like you said. It's dance.
It is.
It's good
yes.
time. It's like 3.5 minutes long. It's not being something that it's not. It's just fun.
You want to get together with your friends, you know, dancing around. You're eating food. That's what I picture. The visualization of all that, and just having a great time.
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm. What or who inspired you to be a musician?
Oh, wow. It started with Coyote, my dad's band. They actually had a gig the day that I was born. And they, you know, we're talking early 70s, not to date myself here too much, but we're talking early 70s. Men still weren't in the waiting room or the birthing room. They were in the waiting room having cigars and so the entire Coyote band was at my birth. They finished their gig and they got to the hospital when I was born about 45 minutes later. So I always felt like I was born into music. And then in 1981, I'm gonna say 82, my older brother, Crispy, who's also in the band, he showed up at the house with Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance. And he put on that album, and it was my first experience, because everything else before that was the Partridge Family and, you know, Sonny and Cher, and not taking away from any of them, but you go from Sonny and Cher to the Hellion and Electric Eye, and you go, what is that? And I was immediately like hooked. I just didn't know what else that I could do in my life but that. It was going to be that. And then, you know, Wasp and Motley Crue. Then I got nostalgic, went back to the 70s. I got all, you know, the Ozzy and Sabbath. And so all of those were major influences on me. But it wasn't until 1984 and Purple Rain came out. And Prince was something different. He was James Brown meets Jimi Hendrix meets something that I can't put my finger on, honestly.
I can see that, yes.
And I just remember watching him and listening to that album, and it was so dynamic, and I just wanted to be able to do something like that. And then I learned that he played all the instruments on the album, and that's when,
Wow.
like you said, the drums, the keys, the guitars, it all became prevalent to me that if you want to do something that is your vision, then just do it all.
Exactly.
And yeah, so those were the biggest influence. But that's where my life in music began. And I mean, again, from birth to 49, here I am.
That's amazing. I love that. From birth, right on from birth. Awesome. Man, yes. Which musician would you like to collaborate with?
Wow, that's extensive. It's really, really extensive. Obviously, Brian May from Queen.
Yes.
Just one of the most iconic guitar players. Jimmy Page, obviously, as well. Those two guitar players just absolutely defined everything that I did guitar-wise. But as far as bands or singers, I mean, I love Kid Rock. Kid Rock is just the guy.
Yes.
If I could ever do a tune with Kid Rock, it could be anything from Southern country to hip-hop, R&B to hardcore rap. I feel like Kid and I, we grew up doing the same kind of thing. He was really hip-hop when I was metal. And then I went hip hop when he went metal, and now we're both Southern rockers. I just feel like Kid Rock, that would be the guy that I want to do something.
I can see that. I honestly could see you two
going back and forth,
yes.
being ridiculous. It'd
Yes.
be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. What do you feel is the best song that you did, and why?
On this album, there's a song called "Where Are You Now," and it's a love song. It's a time in life, without getting too personal, it's a time in my life where a relationship went south, and the lyrics are they mean a lot to me. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And I like to tell stories, but not every song is a story. This one was an actual story. As I'm writing, and there's a lyric that says, "A cigarette burning out." And that's literally what was happening when I was writing that. And that song's just very meaningful to me. It always will be. And there's another song that is not released. It may come out on a future album. It might not. I don't know. But it's about loss. It's about losing loved ones. And it's called "If I'd Only Known," and I have a demo of it, and I tried to re-record it several times, and I get too emotional when I record it, and I can't capture the actual emotion that I had when I did the demo. I wish the demo was a little bit better, because I'd put it out regardless, but
I would love to hear it, because it just gave me chills to think
one
about
of
it,
those
because I know it's
songs-
going to be a wonderful song,
Yeah.
feeling all over.
You know, if I'd only known this would be the last time, and we've all gone through it.
Exactly.
I will put that song out at some point. Hopefully, I can muster up the emotion to finish it.
Yes. Can you tell me about your writing technique?
Oh, writing technique. Everything. Some songs literally start with a drum line, and I write music to it. Some songs start with a guitar line, and I write drums and music to that. Other songs, and I'll take my phone and just do selfie mode and sing something at 3:00 in the morning, and just hope that I can make something out of that. My songwriting process is all over the place. And I've had the luxury of having a studio since '96, even though it's very demo quality. But I one of my biggest influences was Prince, and Prince would say he had a microphone and a way to record in every single room in his house, including the bathroom.
Wow.
Because you can come up with some of your best ideas when you're
very true. Singing in the shower,
And so for me, just having the ability to come up with something in my head and be able to immediately jump up here and at least lay it down so I don't forget it, that has been just instrumental in my writing. I forget what it's actually like to write with a band, and I was trying to do it very recently, and it was difficult for me because I had not been in a room with 5, 6 guys to write a song since the early 90s. And it was very fun, and we came up with some really cool stuff. That'd be the Simfa Way stuff. Yeah, very unique, very cool to be able to write that way again, but I still prefer take my time in the studio and do everything myself.
That's perfect. That's how it's what you feel, and it's what's works. It works for you. This is going to be a compliment, full circle about you. One, I think you're an amazing musician. I always have. When I first time saw you, I was like, wow, he's really good. Then I saw you playing the drums. Then I saw you playing the keys. You played guitar. You came out in the middle of the floor at Sylvester's and were jamming that guitar. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. This guy is going somewhere. This guy is amazing. What music instrument was your first to play?
Well, I started off as a guitar player when I was 12, but I didn't get serious about it until I was about 15. I didn't learn a lot of cover songs. I just immediately wanted to write material. And a very good friend of mine, Dave Pace, had a 4-track studio in Jarrettsville, and I went up to do my first couple songs, and the drummer was 2 hours late, and the bass player never showed up. And so I wasted a lot of good money at that point. So over the next 5 years, I just learned to play everything out of necessity. I wasn't going to be in that situation ever again. I went to keyboards right after that, drums after that, and I never even wanted to be a singer. My dad was a singer, and I didn't think I could measure up. He was a very operatic singer. He was very good. So that was the last thing that I actually ended up doing, was being a singer in it. And once again, it became out of necessity that every band that I joined, you had a drummer, you had a bass player, you had 2 guitar players, and every singer that auditioned was just terrible. And they were like, well, Mark can sing, his dad's a singer. And I'm like, I can't sing. And then I'd open my mouth and I could at least keep in key.
Right.
And at that point, I just decided, okay, might as well just decide to hone that skill. And I didn't start that until I was 18, probably.
Wow, okay.
But my vocal heroes were Rob Halford and Robert Plant.
Yes.
Ozzy. And Ozzy doesn't get enough credit for the range that he has.
Right, that high pitch. Yeah, yes.
Really crazy. Try to sing Crazy Train. It's crazy to sing.
Right.
But my natural voice was much more the Doobie Brothers or Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Chicago, Bad Company. I could always pull off Paul Rogers for whatever reason.
You guys do an awesome job at that.
And so I tried to develop a little bit of both, and it took a while. I have very early takes of me just bombing, but once I figured out how to use my voice, then I just didn't want to play the instruments anymore. I wanted to go sing. So in the live band, yes, I will jump around and I'll play drums, I'll play keys, I'll grab a guitar, but I have a very talented band, and I have all the guys to do it without me so that I can just go out there and be a singer and a frontman. I mean, David Lee Roth, growing up with David Lee, you want to go out and entertain the crowd. It's hard to do that when you're stuck behind a guitar or a drum kit or a piano. So it's just been a lot of fun to progress from a guy that had to do everything to now doesn't have to do anything other than what he wants, and I thank my band for that. I do.
Awesome. Where can people see you perform?
Well, we're all over the place. We tried to break into Baltimore County, and I don't know what it was. Baltimore County seems to want a heavier material than we play, but in Harford County, Cecil County, Delaware, southern Pennsylvania, we're all over the place up there. Here in town, we got 510 Johnny's, we got the Main Street Tower. We've been into Looney's a couple times, but I can't get on a normal rotation there. Cecil County, we got Jumbo Jimmy's and Rookies, and the list goes on. But in Harford County, our two main spots would be 510 Johnny's and the Main Street Tower. And they both have great food, great atmosphere, and it's a lot of fun. And it's 5 minutes away from my house, so I love those gigs. But a lot of the other ones are, an hour and a half drive, which, I love. I get to sit in the car and listen to music and prep for the show. But the band's great. Michael Sancho Panza on drums. I got Steve Vanoy on bass, and his backup vocals are like Mike Anthony. I mean, he's just got a great voice. I got Dickie Sweetlicks Wilmoth. He's the Tasmanian devil of lead guitar, and Peyton Mullins is the sorcerer. He's the Steve Vai. There's nothing this kid cannot play.
Wow.
He dazzles me, actually. And I used to play guitar, and then when he came in the band, I just put the thing down. I was like, there's no point in me play. This guy does everything better than I do. And I'll guest star once a gig or something and do something, but no. And then, my brother, Crispy Gable, doing lead vocals and backup vocals. So I feel very fortunate. I have one of the best live bands around, and I really do.
You sure do. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where can people find you to contact you for your music?
Well, right now, the new album, Buttered Toast, is available on all the digital platforms: iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify. You can get it free on YouTube. The whole album's right there. Or if you want to buy a copy, you can go to any of those. I am setting up a website for the album as we speak. It'll be up and running very soon. I should have done it earlier, but I'm a musician. I'm a procrastinator. That'll happen. As far as the band, let me get my phone here. To book the band, you can go to littlet727@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook at Gable Band. And I have a great manager, Tammy Gable, my sister-in-law, and she's been booking the band for years now. She's efficient. She'll get right back to you. It's the one aspect of the music industry that I just am not interested in. I did it for years, and I got tired of fighting with club owners and promoters and everything else, and just decided if I'm recording everything, I'm writing everything, I'm putting the albums out, and in the live band, I'm trying to designate everybody's spots and put it all together. I don't want to deal with club owners, and it's no offense, but they're trying to get stuff as cheap as they can, and we're trying to make as much money as we can.
Yeah.
And
Catch-22.
Yeah, exactly. And it just really deters me from wanting to perform. So I handed that off to her, and she's been doing a phenomenal job. So thank you, Tammy.
She's amazing. Tammy is very, very, very
Absolutely.
amazing. What advice would you give to an upcoming band or musician?
Well, this day and age, it's the best and worst time to be in music. You have all the tools at your disposal, and you can do everything on a shoestring budget like I've been doing. But it's also oversaturated, and it's very hard to get your music heard. First of all, heart, soul, know your instrument, know your craft. Write a good song. Write a catchy song. Write a song that people will feel. Jump all over the place. Don't feel like you got to be pigeonholed into doing one thing, because those days are long gone. Be creative.
Yes.
And then do your due diligence. You got to get on social media. You got to get friends. You got to get people liking your stuff. You got to get people sharing your stuff. And, the days of hoping an RNA rep will come into the club and see you play and give you $1 million contract, those days are gone.
Yeah.
So now you really got to go out and you got to push it. You got to, do your work. And so if you're in it just to make $1 million and retire, well, those days are gone. You just got to have the heart and soul behind it. You got to have the passion. And if you do, good things will come. And hopefully you'll build a fan base. It's about, in this day and age, making it is building a fan base. It's not the mansion on the hill. It's not the MTV. Sure, all those things would be great, but build a fan base where people come to see you. They buy your albums. They buy your T-shirts. You've made it.
Exactly. Is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, you're welcome.
You really inspired me to do better. I was happy being in a cover band, just playing gig from gig, and you came out and you were so excited and you were so infectious about your excitement. And it made me get back into writing, and I think we talked about it earlier with the COVID. It gave me the opportunity to sit in here and take some of the old material that I had wrote and re-record it and do something better with it. And you were the one that got me on the best damn radio station on the planet. We're talking about 97 Underground.
Yes.
And since then, I've had 2 number 1s in Gable. I've had 2 number 3s with Gable. I've had 2 number 1s with Sinful Way. And 2 number 3s with Sinful Way.
Awesome.
And currently, as we're doing this interview, they just picked up the newest song from Buttered Toast, the first single, your favorite.
My favorite.
Don't give it away. Exactly. And so, we're just getting everybody to vote. Get on 97underground.com, go to the playlist survey, vote, and that pushes the song up and up and up the ladder. And, I'm feeling good about a number 1 after this album.
Absolutely.
I do. And then I have a whole nother album that's going to be released in probably September. I'm going with the old Van Halen and Judas Priest idea of recording or releasing 2 songs in the same year, which I know most bands do not do these days. It's usually a year to 2 to 3.
Right.
But I want to put out 2 this year, and I'm going to do it. This one was
wait.
very classic rock, 70s. The next one is going to be very 80s meets early 90s. We're talking Guns N' Roses meets Buckcherry meets Stone Temple Pilots.
You're talking my language now.
Yeah. It's a
my
fun
80s,
album.
Yes.
It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
That'll be called Brown Paper Bag, and it's going to come out in probably September, something like that. Maybe late August. I don't know. We're still deciding on the release date.
Well, August 24th is my birthday, so it can come out that day.
I love that. That's what we're going to talk about that.
Oh, right.
So yeah, you really inspired me to do better, be better, and I don't think we'd be here right now without your love for music and your passion.
Oh,
and we all love
welcome.
you, and thank you.
You're welcome. And absolutely, I never want to miss a Gable show, and I wanted to tell you where Gable's playing. March 19th at Dick's Halfway Inn. It's going to be an amazing show, so I want to see you there. Yes. Rock and roll. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me here to do this interview. It means everything to me, and I've been wanting to do this for such a long time now. COVID got in the way, and then everything else, and then finally, here we are. Thank you so, so much.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
Yes. And I just wanted to also mention, we have an awesome camera girl, and her name is Victoria Starchak.